Just know if we're waiting on a vote, just give it 1/2 second. Keenan, let's alphabetically it works well, but let's run member Raxel at the end to give her time to unmute before she votes on things.
Will do.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. It is Monday, November 8th. The Albany Arts Committee meeting is called to order. And we will begin with roll call. So Keenan, if you want to take it away.
All right. Chair Gatch.
Here.
Member Abrams.
Here.
Member Black.
Here.
Member Bergman.
Here.
Member Goodman.
Here.
Member Smotsky.
Here.
And Member Raxel.
Here. Can you hear me?
Yep. Great. We got it.
Oh, thank goodness for that. I've been trying for the last 5 minutes.
We got you in now. Okay, we're all here. We got full dais.
All right, full house here. Okay, first item of business is the approval of minutes. So Keenan, if you want to see if we have approval of minutes and take roll on that.
Chair Gatch.
Yes.
Member Abrams.
Yes.
Member Bergman.
Yes.
Member Black.
Yes.
Member Goodman.
Yes.
Member Smotsky.
Yes.
And Member Raxel.
Okay, so minutes are.
Stupid thing. I said yes.
We gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, minutes are approved. We're going to move on to agenda item number 3, which is public comment. And as a reminder, this is for anyone desiring to address the commission or committee on any item that is not on the agenda. And each speaker is limited to up to 3 minutes. So again, this is for any public comment unrelated to agenda items tonight. Do we have any public comment?
No public.
All right, we are 3 for 3, looking good so far. Agenda item number 4 is announcements from staff and committee members. And these are separate from agenda items. So we'll go to committee members first. Committee, do we have any announcements?
I do.
Yeah, Member Black.
I just want to announce that we will be having a new show in December. The show goes up on the 10th of December, and the reception is on the 12th, which is Sunday, and it's from 3 to 5. The show is, our artist is Linda Wong. So,
Great.
I hope everybody will be there.
Any other announcements from committee members? All right. Any announcements from staff?
Yes, I have 2. I'm going to share my screen really quickly here, everybody. Just a friendly reminder that we're using a new software to work on our minutes and agendas. As staff gets more comfortable with the process, everybody can see the home page of the website here, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just if anybody wants to share information about the Arts Committee or pass along the agenda to somebody else, of course, the internet's going to go slow here. But on that front page, there is a, oh, what a terrible time. On the front page here, there is this calendar down here, and you can just click on that. Our meetings are always the second Monday of each month. You can just click on that meeting. It takes you to this page about how to watch via Zoom. And then also this link where it says Cities Meeting Agendas webpage takes you to, again, another page. But here you can watch the video on YouTube. It direct links you to it. this HTML agenda packet basically means updated currently. So let's say something happens in the 12th hour and we need to adjust something in the packet. This is auto updating, constantly updating. And then the agenda over here is just the downloadable PDF of the agenda as well. So it looks a little bit different, but you can always utilize the web page here to find the agenda, to find past agendas, minutes, so on and so forth. And then the last announcement I have is that Chair Gash will go over some work plan stuff and some action happening with jobs within the committee. But I just want to let everybody know it is not on the agenda tonight, but the community projects mural debunking stereotypes through muralism again is moving forward, and we will be going to council hopefully in December with an updated artist agreement. Again, just to remind everybody, we have heard from the artist. They are excited to get back to work when they are back into the country. They can now come back into the country, or soon they'll be able to come back into the country, as we know, because some restrictions are being lifted. So more to come on the work plan from Chair Gash, but that is the current update on that project.
Great. Any other announcements? Okay, then we are moving to agenda item number 5, which is presentations. Do we have any presentations tonight? In that case, we are into item number 6, which is discussion and possible action on matters related to the following items. We have 4 items tonight. I'm going to read through each of the 4 items, and then we'll start back at number 1. So item 6.1 is Poet Laureate. Item 6.2 is Sculpture Loan Program. Item 6.3 is the Albany Creative Justice Arts Project. And item 6.4 is Work Plan Check-in. So we'll begin with updates on the Poet Laureate, which goes to you, Member Goodman.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair Gotch. So I do have a couple of updates. Liam, do you have I sent you the revised call for submissions. Do you have that? And would you be able to put it up for everyone to see? I just made a few revisions to the call for submissions that we went over last time. The 2 changes that I made were I fixed the stipend, the payment to $1,000 a year, and I also made the length of appointment for 2 years. I think previously it had been 1 year with an option for renewal. And it seemed to me that 1 year goes by really quickly. It certainly does as you get older. So it seemed to me that 2 years would be a much better way of handling it. And of course, if there's a problem, the contract gives the city an out to terminate the contract for cause. I wouldn't anticipate that, but I think it's just easier to leave it as 2 years. Now, as far as the 1,000 years, remember we'd had some discussion about that. I did do some research, and I did find out what other cities were paying. There are a lot of poet laureates around the country, and as far as I can tell, most of them do get some sort of payment. It's not always clear how much they get, but just an example: El Cerrito, $1,000 a year; City of Davis, $1,000. Oakland is $5,000 for 2 years, which is $2,500 a year. West Hollywood, $3,000 a year. Torrance, California, $2,000 for 2 years, or $1,000 a year. Santa Fe, New Mexico, $5,000 a year, but you'd expect that. Knoxville, $3,000 a year. East Hampton, Massachusetts, which is a city sound very similar to Albany in many respects, and is about the same size. They pay $500 a year. Arlington, Virginia, $1,500. Watsonville, $1,000. So it's somewhere between $500, $1,500 or something, which would be pretty reasonable considering we're the Bay Area, very expensive place to live. I think $1,000 is really appropriate considering we are still a very, very small city. But we're not that small. And I think $1,000 would be appropriate. Question is where that money is going to come from. I wrote to Doug Donaldson of the Albany Community Foundation, and he was not really well, hard to say. It's unfair to say that he was speaking on behalf of the Albany Community Foundation because they hadn't met yet. But he did say that he felt that the ACF would have the means and the willingness to support the poetry program, both Fall into Haiku and the Poet Laureate program themselves. But that's not a sure thing. They'd have to have a meeting and they'd have to have a proposal from us, a formal proposal from us. They'd have to pass it through. So at this point, we don't really have a commitment for $1,000 a year. And it's kind of up to the committee as to whether we want to go ahead and assume that one way or other we will get that $1,000, or between now and the time that the Poet Laureate is selected, we will have more certainty that the money will come in. And if it doesn't, we will simply not make the selection. As I say, we could just move everything ahead, then always bring it to a pause if we're uncertain about the funding. I certainly would not want to sign the contract and then have to renege because we don't have money. That would be unfair to the poet and embarrassing to the city. So I'd like to get a sense of the committee on the changes to the submission. That is the 2-year term, $1,000 per year, and then whether we want to go ahead with opening the submission to the public. Tentatively, I've set the application, the submissions open date is December 1st, and the deadline is January 31st. So that's 2 full months. Could be, I don't think it should be less, but it could be longer. So I'd appreciate any feedback from the committee.
I think it sounds great. I really appreciate the research that you did in looking at other cities and seeing what other cities are paying. And if we're, I think, in step with what El Cerrito pays, then I think that's also seems really consistent. In terms of funding and getting the funding, I think, if I recall correctly, last time we talked about trying to secure the funding short term from the Albany Foundation, but also putting something in motion to petition City Council to secure that funding further down the road so that it is in fact coming from the city. It seems like if it is a Albany City Poet Laureate, that the city should be supporting that, and it's a benefit to the city to support that.
Yes, that's more or less correct. I think we were uncertain exactly where the funding would come from, whether it would be from the council, or from advertising, from sales of materials, from sponsorship. There are a number of different possibilities that were floated. And like I say, the Albany Community Foundation expressed their willingness, at least Doug Donaldson did, but that it certainly wasn't official, and they didn't approve it. So I'm not here to represent that money is secure.
But I think it does give us an opportunity to go forward, and I think it makes sense to put out a call for the artists. And if I remember correctly, we don't usually get an abundance of things right away anyway, so we could assume that the foundation is going to take us up on this first run going round. And if not, then we can look to other sources. But I don't think we should put it off till we have everything secured.
Yeah, I don't want to take it for granted, and I will say publicly too, I don't want to force them into saying yes by putting them on the spot. So
No, of course
I don't want to
not.
obligate them at all. I'm just outlining what their position is.
No, and I think we understand that, but I think we should go ahead and assume we can find the funding,
Okay.
is my thought. And we can, if it doesn't come through as we envisioned, then we can put off making the appointment a little bit longer,
Right. Okay.
is my thought.
Any other opinions? If not, then I guess Liam, I think we have to make a motion to go ahead with this then. So I would like to move then that we accept the call for submissions as edited and release it to the public with the submissions opening on December 1st and with a deadline of January 31st, and work to secure funding by any means possible. Liam, does that doable to have the city website set up by December 1st?
Yeah, we will. Yes, we will need to adjust the page a little bit because it does
Right.
speak in terms of current poet laureates. So we just want to make it clear that there is some information about current and past poet laureates as well as applications for new poet laureates.
Okay.
But that's staff level, and we'll work together on making sure it's very clear on the website. And then for the rest of the committee, we'll pass that link around to other people to use so that you can use that as advertising as well as in the city social medias and e-news and such.
Okay, all right. So then the motion stands, and Chair Gotch, would you handle the rest of it then?
I would just change one bit of language. You said
Sure.
to fund the poet laureate by any means possible, and that sounds potentially a bit extreme. So
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was a yeah. Sorry. Well, it wasn't the best wording.
so short of robbing banks, we're looking for possibilities to fund it.
Yeah. Searching for possible funding opportunities. Yeah, something a little more mellow.
All right. Well, I think we need a second then for the motion.
Second,
Okay, great. We have a second. And Keenan, would you mind taking the vote?
Sure. Chair Gatch,
Yes.
Member Abrams,
Yes.
Member Bregman,
Yes.
Member Black,
yes.
Member Goodman,
Yes.
Member Samatsky,
Yes.
and Member Raxel.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Then got it. Then it passes. Fantastic. Always love when we pass things here.
Yeah. Great feeling.
Then we are ready to move on. I think we can stop the screen share. And we are ready to move on to agenda item 6.2, which is the sculpture loan program. And I don't know if that's Member Abrams or Member Black presenting. Who's presenting this tonight?
I believe it's Member Black.
Okay, nice going, Robbie. Robbie will assist me. So we have had some good news today that Liam has spoken to the powers that be, and we are going to be moving forward with getting the platforms done hopefully mid-December. This is a big step forward for us. We've been waiting on those. So if that is the case, and hopefully we can tell our artists that the two that we have left, that we are going to be able to start having their sculptures installed the beginning of the year. So that would be a great step forward for us. We have gone over the sculpture loan contract agreement, and what we need to put in there is what we feel. The original stipend for each artist was $1,000, and we were hoping to raise it to $1,500 or $2,000, depending on what monies are left from, I believe, the installing of the platforms. So, Liam, am I correct in that?
Yes, wonderful. And just to add into that, the PAPP that we voted on in April, the Arts Committee voted on, excuse me, is not to exceed $10,000 for the entire project. The original stipend, as Member Black said, was $1,000 each. There are plaques involved, which could be anywhere from, we could just be around $200. Subcommittee, that's very new information, just around $200. There was architectural design to engineer the concrete pads to make sure that they're safe and can hold weight, which was $1,200. So if you're keeping track at home there, that puts us currently now, without paying for the pads, which we just aren't sure the cost of, at $3,600. So the pads and an increase in stipend cannot exceed $6,400. So as Member Black said, and I'll kind of step back to the back here after this, if you were to increase the cost of the stipend to $1,500, then that puts us right in the neighborhood of $4,000 to $5,000 to. I have a little spreadsheet here that I can share with everybody. I know it makes the screens little, but basically this is kind of where we stand right now. If everybody can see it here, the pads, I would be remiss to think we would be able to get away with that with less than $2,000, but it could be more. Everything is more expensive right now. So to think about, so if you were to increase the stipend, and I know I'm jumping into, I just want to get you all going on this. If you were to increase the stipend to $3,000 total, $1,500 each, that then gives us just over $3,000 to play with in case the pads are more expensive. Unfortunately, the unknown that we have right now is just the cost for the pads. That also could be a little bit more than has been quoted in the past because we're going to do it so quickly. However, I'm going to end with this. Just super kudos to the whole Arts Committee and the subcommittee for really making this a priority to city staff. And we are going to move forward with this, but it could be just a little bit more on the pads side. So again, I'll leave this spreadsheet up if anybody wants me to tinker around with it. Chair Gash, I can remove the share screen if you want to look at each other when you discuss. And please let me know if I can provide any more insight. As soon as I say that, I have one more thing to say. So the artist agreement that Cheryl said, that is staff side. So after the committee decides on a stipend to use, staff will then create a contractual agreement between the artist and the city to actually put in place the pads. So mid-December is when the pads should be completed. We will try to go to City Council in December to get all of the bricks and sticks ready for it to, as Cheryl said, to start in early 2022, hopefully getting these sculptures installed. Again, any more questions, please let me know. But beyond that, I leave it to you, Chair. I will take over. Sorry, Chair, Member Black. Everybody, Aaron, Chair Gatch, unfortunately just lost power. So I think that's why we don't see him here right now. So here's what we can do. For now, subcommittee, I will leave it to you if there's any questions, and I can help as well. At this point, members, if you would like to ask some questions, please go ahead and do so. After you ask questions, we will see if there's any public comment. If there is no public comment, we'll bring it back for discussion. And then we would like a motion if you would like to change the stipend. If you do not wish to change the stipend, it does not require a motion. And Chair Gash will be with us as soon as he can. Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, would you refresh our memory as to, is this 3 pads or 2 pads?
I believe it's 3 pads, though we only have 2 sculptures.
Right, so, and which 2 are they?
They're the smaller ones. There's
Not the big cylinder.
So the big
yes,
cylinder.
The big cylinder is one of them, plus the water kind of structure. We lost the big one, which was the 4 blocks that fit together.
Oh, we lost that one.
Yes, heartbreaking as that is.
And sorry to interrupt, Member Black. I did not give everybody all of the information. This would be for 2 pads. The 3rd pad is a bit of an difficult engineering thing to do. So to get this project moving forward, I think that the Public Works Department can handle the 2 square pads like we had said, and then we can revisit if the committee would like to move forward. I will say again, we have the opportunity to kind of jump on this and move quickly with these 2 pieces if we feel like that is what we want to do. And then also let me know if you want me to circle through this, but here are the locations and the pieces that they will be on the shared screen here.
Masonic and Washington.
Correct. So this is the one in the landscaping. That's kind of where Peter's standing here. And here is the sculpture.
Right.
And then here is where it will be offset from the BART tracks.
Okay.
Then here's the second piece here. And it's hard to see because of the shadowing, but this is on Rotary Hill.
Oh, right.
If you see this picture here,
Yeah.
This is Solano right here. Masonic would run along here. This is the BART track.
So we're not using that circle down by Dartmouth then?
It is still in your master plan. It can still be earmarked, but that one, since we don't have a piece for it, and that would be a more difficult engineering undertaking, we can move forward with the 2 pads and the 2 available pieces quickly.
So Liam, when it comes time, could you go back to your spreadsheet again? Sorry. So when it comes time for the 3rd pad, are any of these costs, are all these costs going to have to be reassessed, or can some of these cover the 3 pads, even if we're only building 2 of them at this time, like the architectural design?
The architectural design is a flat fee and it's already been made. So that is part of the $1,200 for the other pad. However, that other pad is a larger project than the square ones, obviously. So, so there is, without speaking for our engineers, there is an ability to move forward currently with the 2 pads and utilize some of the money that was going to go to the larger pad to increase the stipend without having to change the PAPP, I guess is the long and short of it. The PAPP is refreshed after 2 years. If we feel like we have something large enough to go on another location, we would have to put it back into the work plan and reopen that. But there is the potential to say that a success is measured by doing this well, and then maybe it could open the door for more down the road. I can't really speak too much to that. However, removing that 3rd piece does free up a little bit of money and does free up a little bit of the difficult pouring that could go along with the larger pad.
Okay, so the $3,000, that covers $1,500 per artist, 2 stipends, and it's 2 plaques. The architectural design covers everything. The pads is $1,000 per pad, and then the okay. So then there's actually how's that number work? Oh, 6,600. I see. Sorry, I couldn't
Correct.
read it. Yeah. So
And
it's
then the P-
$3,400 left over, and that could possibly be used for additional construction costs. Is that what you're saying?
It could be. It is what is left in the PAPP after these other things are taken out of. But the
You
other
don't
thing to
have to
keep in
use it.
mind is we do not know the cost of these pads. So actually this, while I do have it in here, we don't know the cost of it. And that is something that staff will have to report back.
But it's unlikely to $1,700 per pad, right?
I'm not entirely sure, Chair Goodman, but
I'm not
the
chair.
quote that we got earlier in the year in this process was less than that. Yes.
Okay, all right. All right. Well, seems reasonable to think we can do it.
Liam, does it make sense to figure out what those actual costs are, and then we can figure out how much we want to allocate for the stipend? I would hope that the stipend would be at least $2,000 per artist, and it seems like if we stay close to that original quote, then we should have those funds available. And just to put it out there, my rationale for that is that the artists are responsible not only for loaning the work, but also for transporting the work, installing the work, and potentially doing upkeep on the work. That's correct, right?
Yes.
So that's quite a lot of responsibility, and it's certainly possible that the artists will go through most of that stipend simply to supply the city with their artwork.
And is that for, what's the term? How long would the artist have to be potentially responsible for maintenance?
2 years.
2 years.
That is in the artist agreement as well, which has yet to be confirmed by city council. So that, that always has the possibility to change.
Well, I agree with the chair as far as raising the stipend.
I do as well.
Me too. I do also.
Okay, so again, so after this, I'm going to leave it to the committee. After Chair Gash, I don't see anybody for discussion for public comment. But things to think about are, the call originally did have it at $1,000, and we kind of mimicked that off of other cities, is why we had set that fee, as well as if the pads do come back in an increased amount that we are not planning for here, we would need to come back to committee to discuss increasing the PAPP to potentially go to city council. However, I'm going to leave it to discussion, and if you make a motion and move forward with this, staff then includes that in the artist agreement, and then staff would then take that to city council while we are hopefully pouring the pads and all being ready to go by the end of the year.
Liam, can I just ask one more question?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're getting a little bit hung up on this question of what the pads are going to cost. And if we have a quote previously, is there a way that we can confirm the quote or to express to whomever we're contracting with that that the amount of money available for those pads is limited to X amount of dollars to accommodate the other costs that we've earmarked here?
Yes, absolutely. I'm more than happy to pass that on as a staff announcement on this. I as staff don't have an answer to that, so I just don't feel comfortable speaking what the cost would be, and that's why I'm kind of being non-permanent about that. However, if we do get an answer, I will make sure to report back to the committee.
Okay.
I have a quick question. So we have the quote. Who is doing the work? Is the city doing the work? And if the city is doing the work, then does this money include the salaries or the hourly for the people doing the work, or is that just materials?
I'm unfortunately I do not have an answer to either one of those. This is relatively newer information that we are going to get the work done. So I will have to follow up on those two questions.
Okay.
To answer, I mean, to go as far as I can into that, if the city were to be installing it themselves, it would be, yes, the supplies and power that it costs to do that. However, I believe that that will have to just come down from our engineering department. And so I will wait till I have an answer to give you the correct one.
I was under the impression that the city was not going to be doing the pads, that they were farming it out.
Yeah, the original quote we got was from another company, a contractor.
Right.
The original that we got in February. Yeah.
Because the city couldn't do it, didn't want to do it, whatever it was. So.
Right. Well, do we have any other questions? And then we can move to public comment and follow it up with a discussion. So no other questions from committee. Also, apologies to deprive you guys of looking at my visage, but we had a power outage, so I'm sitting in a dark room now.
Oh dear.
That's terrible.
All right. Do we have public comment that we can go to?
There is no public comment.
All right. So then we are into discussion, which includes any motions on this issue.
Can we, if we're not sure about the stipend, should we vote on anything or?
What I would like to see us do, if we can, is to get this going. It's been a long time in the works. So how do we do that? We need to get a stipend number in order to get it passed so that things can start on, keep going, I believe, Liam.
That was a nod and a thumbs up. So yeah, that's a yes.
That's a yes.
Sorry, I had lots of controls going on there. Correct. And then also use this information for your discussion. But if we make a motion for this and move forward with this, and for a reason or another that the pads come back below that $10,000 threshold, it can be opened up for discussion on this side of it as well. And that could include going to council and asking to increase the PAPP as well, which we did for the Creative Justice Art Project. However, like I kind of keep using, we got to keep everything in front of us. And if that does require a change to the PAPP, it could come back to the committee.
Okay, so I would like to move that we pass it with the $4,000, or we vote to move it on to the city council with the $4,000 total stipend. And with all the costs that are written here, and if the pads cost more, then we'll deal with it at that point. How do I phrase that succinctly? I'd like to move that we just move this on to city council as it is with the $4,000 stipend.
Second.
All right. We have a second. So Keenan, if you wouldn't mind taking the vote.
Chair Gatch,
Yes.
Member Abrams,
Yes.
Member Brigman,
Yes.
Member Black,
Yes.
Member Goodman,
Yes.
Member Samatsky,
Yes.
and Member Rexel.
Yes.
So it passes. Just a quick note on your spreadsheet there, Liam. It should be 2 at 2,000 for the stipend and 2 at 200 for the plaque, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
There we go. All right. So that passes, and that's moving forward. So congratulations to the members of the subcommittee and Liam, and nice job, everyone. That's great.
I think we're hearing some.
Directors are good with their. Are moving to the next.
Chair, you are going a little robotic, which might be a little due to your being in a dark room. So just a heads up, if you need to move the agenda item back, or you would like staff to lead it, or another committee member, just let us know. Okay. Okay. Great. It looks like chair is having a few difficulties. Does anybody want to take over for chair? I can provide all the information for the next agenda items. But does anybody want to take over and announce the next agenda items? I can pull them up really quick.
Sarah, the next person in line?
That would be me, I think, but I missed the last meeting, so I wouldn't be the best person.
Well, how about Sarah, if you wouldn't mind just calling the next item, which is screen shared over here, and we're at 6.3.
Okay, item 6.3, which would be the Albany Creative Justice Arts Project.
And so chair, vice chair, I'm gonna update quickly, and then we'll give it out for questions if any staff or if any committee members have questions. And then we'll go to public comment if we have any, and then we'll bring it back for discussion and any motions that we need to do. This one will be, I think, hopefully Aaron does show up, because another kudos for the Arts Committee. The call for artists for the Albany Creative Justice Art Project call was approved by City Council. It was moved through staff and was released earlier today. So I'm doing a lot of screen sharing today, but I'm going to just show you where it lives. And then just know that this is, again, very new information. We just released it today. So staff will make sure to send all of the links to all of you and the documents to all of you, so you can pass it along through all of your circles. Also know that we will advertise this through NORPAN, which is a creative arts conglomerate and listserv with Northern California cities. So it will go off to hundreds of art programs and people who are in the know of arts committees such as yourself, and they'll help disseminate that. It lives on the website here. We'll also put it on our social media, e-news, have it in person, lots of different advertising avenues that we talked about last meeting. But just for you to get the first view of this, because this is all very new, this is the website everybody can see on the screen here. If you go into our city, under Art in Albany, brings you to your art page. And here's our beautiful front page with the community center, foyer gallery, so on and so forth. The Albany Creative Justice Art Project has its own button. You click on that, and that takes you to the RFP, request for purchases, call for artists page. If you go into here, from there, it automatically pops up the entire call. This is all language that the entire Arts Committee approved. There's an updated timeline, so I'll quickly go over that. All call for artists needs to be open for 90 days. So 90 days from today is February 8th. We will then, depending on how many applications we get, we will then have finalists, or if there's not a ton of applications, that will be the pool of finalists. And then the finalists will send in a proposal, which is kind of more of the 85% theory. So models to have in the community center, or a good representation of what their art would be. That is when the selection panel will work through those finalists and make a nomination to the Arts Committee for who to select for this project. The Arts Committee will then make their selection using the selection panel's nominations, and then move it on to the City Council level for approval. So like a lot of public art projects, this does take a while because, for example, the call needs to be out in the world for 90 days, as well as once the finalists are selected, they will have their models on display at the community center for 60 days. And then also you meet monthly, City Council meets bi-monthly. So to get all of those lined up, we are hopefully looking at the installation complete by March of 2023. Now that sounds like a long way away, but the notification of the selected artist hopes to be less than 1 year away. So for the speed that we move, that seems kind of right in line with what we can obtain. And then also just keep in mind that everywhere on this document, it says where it's due, where the call is due, and who it is sent to. It's an all digital application. So just keep in mind, I'll send all Arts Committee members this document, and you can just send it out into the world. It has all of the information included in it, as well as what is expected of the application, and then what is the selection process and criteria, and what is the process for finalists. This is a great document, and so kudos to the Arts Committee and Chair Gatch for putting it all together and having it ready to be released into the world. So again, where it lives is on the Albany Arts page under Our City, Art in Albany. It's the first button up here. I will send you all these links so you don't need to remember that. And also our awesome web team and I are working together to have a quick link on this side panel over here, as well as under Our City, it will say Art in Albany, Albany Creative Justice Art Project. Yeah, beyond that, it is out into the world. So there's really no action necessary by the committee now until we start to receive applications, except for you to kind of, use your avenues and your understanding and professional knowledge of art to kind of send this out to people who could submit some really great pieces. If anybody has any questions, please feel free. The floor is yours.
Well, I read through it, and right now there isn't an exact location for it. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. There is no defined location.
How are we going to go about that? I assume that there will be before the artist actually design a mural, right?
It doesn't need to be a mural. It can be many
Or an
different
art
mediums of art. And also we are intentionally not selecting a location for it because we want the artist to come to us with a place where this could be useful and accepted and visual and obvious to the community, as well as the call was well written to encourage community support. So if we feel like the community and the Albany surrounding area has a great location within Albany where a good piece of art, we don't want it to be hamstrung by a location that we say.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Hmm?
Are there any other questions? Comments? Then I think we're moving on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There is no public comment. So, okay. So discussion, if anybody would like to discuss, I can take some notes and pass along to Aaron. But other than that, this doesn't really require a motion or anything like that. It exists out in the world right now.
That's great.
No,
It's very
just
exciting.
great job.
Yes, great job. Absolutely.
All right, it looks like we're moving on to 6.4.
Yep.
The work plan check-in. And, Chair Gosh was supposed to do this, and I don't know what the work plan chair.
No worries. I can help with this one as well. It's just staff and Chair Gash wanted to do two things. First of all, just congratulate the projects that are moving forward, as well as maybe hone in our 2022 looks like. I think we are now, and Chair Gash feels the same way, we're now to the point where we have some good, solid traction on some projects. And so we wanted to invite committee members that maybe are assigned or had taken interest in a few other projects that weren't moving as quickly to maybe shift their ideas and thoughts or expertise and massive talent to one of these projects. So if I could be wrong with this, so I'm going to just throw this out there, and if any committee members that's working with the subcommittee has a correction, please let me know. But I believe Peter has asked if anybody would like to help him with the Poet Laureate program, which is a wonderful program, and we are starting to move forward with, and he will need help, not just advertising the call, but also when applications come in to help sort and organize those. The community projects mural, the debunking stereotypes through muralism, needs a subcommittee of at least one person, if not two people. And I will work with them initially to start getting the process moving for that, contacting the artists and letting them know who the subcommittee is, as well as working on after the artist agreement is approved by council. And let me check in my notes here really quick. The Albany community, the Albany Creative Justice Art Project is just a one-person subcommittee, is Aaron right now. So if anybody is interested in helping out Aaron with that. And then Sculpture Loan, that does have a subcommittee of two. So I'll let the subcommittee mention if they perceive or would like some help with that. And let me check my notes here real quick. And then also coming up in spring, there will be another spring into haiku. Again, I'm going to let Peter.
Fall.
Excuse me, fall into haiku. How quickly I shift seasons. Fall into haiku will come up in a year, a little bit less than a year. And I'll let Peter mention if he would like any help with that. So again, the people who are currently on the working on these projects are the subcommittee of the Sculpture Loan is Member Abrams and Member Black. The Albany Creative Justice Art Project is Chair Gatch. The community mural needs some love, needs a subcommittee or somebody's names attached to it. The gallery is right now is kind of run through Cheryl, so I'll let her speak if she would like any help with that. And then also Poet Laureate and Fall into Haiku with Chair Goodman. So I'm going to kind of take a step back here. I encourage an open discussion. If any of those sounded wonderful and you want to put your name next to it, please let me know now. But let's try to focus on community mural if we can, and the Poet Laureate, because I think those are two that could use some help.
Liam, wasn't there also an economic subdevelopment subcommittee?
Thank you. Yes, there is.
Development subcommittee.
There is the Economic Development Subcommittee. Thank you, Member Goodman. Member Abrams is currently sitting on that right now. There is not a ton of action into it. So that is a kind of a wait and see what happens on the other side. But again, subcommittees are always nice when it's two people. So if somebody would like to sign up for that as well.
I'm interested in that.
Okay.
Member Abrams, I hope that's okay.
Yes, of course.
I know that they tend to meet at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which is a inconvenient time. At least it was when I was going to my office. Now it's can probably do that.
Yeah, I haven't actually heard anything beyond just saying that I want to be part of it.
Right.
I'd like to be on the creative justice mural. I could also probably help with the community mural. Anybody else?
I'd be interested in the Poet Laureate and the Fall into Haiku.
Excellent.
Okay.
You're in good hands.
Good. I'll send you 500 pages. Tomorrow
Oh,
morning.
boy.
That'd be great.
Excuse me.
Now, Linda is our newest member. Raxel is our newest member, and I know we've had some technical issues, but this is also, Linda, if you have any questions about any of these, please let us know. Chair Gatch, update to everybody. I don't think Chair Gatch is going to make it back. He's having some difficulties right now. But Linda, if you have any questions about any of these, we have the subcommittee here as well as staff can help answer questions.
Yeah, no questions right now.
Okay, perfect.
Are there any more volunteers? Did you get them all there, Liam?
So I have Albany Creative Justice Art Project, Vice Chair Szymanski and Chair Gatch, the Community Mural Vice Chair Szymanski, the Albany Sculpture Loan Program, Member Abrams and Member Black, the Poet Laureate and Fall into Haiku, Member Goodman and Member Bregman, the Economic Development Commission, Member Goodman and Member Abrams. And yeah, that sound good?
All right. Very good. Are there any further comments or questions?
Nope.
I don't think we really need a motion for this. This is good notes. I will pass these along to the chair. I'll also send it out just in an email to everybody along with these links. It sounds like everyone just kind of needs a wrap-up email from this meeting just because there's a lot of information flowing. But keep in mind, everybody, you can always jump to another one if one starts to kind of lose traction and another project needs help. If a member unfortunately falls ill or needs to take care of family matters, that's another time to help out as well. And then also we don't have our chair right now, so he may have some input to this as well. I'm kind of baiting here with the phone to see if he does have any updates. So I will let you all know that as well.
All right, thank you, Lou. I think we'll move on to 7, future agenda items.
Oh, I love it.
You love future agenda items?
I love getting to that point. Sorry.
I will.
Future agendas.
It occurs to me that I'd like to confirm the selection process for the Poet Laureate. So I'll bring that up and I'll talk with Member Bergman also and bring her up to speed on what we've sort of where we're at with that, because I think that's we'll have to find the people for the committee to do that.
I'd like to put the Arts Committee on, not the Arts Committee, the Gallery Committee on the agenda to go over our future scheduling and
Thank you.
application forms.
Other agenda items? All right. Then we can move on to our next meeting.
Yeah, just, I'm going to interrupt one more time. I guess I feel like I haven't talked enough at one Public Arts Committee meeting. The next meeting will also be just a lot of staff updates. And again, thank you all for your diligent work. The artist agreement for the community mural, the artist agreement for the sculpture loan, both need to go to council, which is at staff level right now. The Albany Creative Justice Art Project needs to be live for 90 days. So there's probably, we're not going to have an update on that until we get closer to picking a selection panel. And then others such as the EDC and gallery, as Member Black just mentioned, those we'll just need to know from the subcommittee when we want an update on it. You can always email me as staff and ask for things to be in the agenda, and I will try to get them on as best I can. And yes, I can stop now.
When is the next meeting?
December
13th.
13th.
December 13th.
So I have two things I'd like to request if possible. One is, can we get some sort of update on how much money is in the Art and Public Places Fund? And are there any new developments that are likely to add to that amount that you're aware of? And then the second thing is, maybe we could more formally discuss the possibility of what our strategy might be in terms of getting the city to fund the haiku program, the poet laureate program, but a larger picture is whether the Art in Public Places money is strictly for permanent art installations, or is there any kind of wiggle room on that? Do you think it's possible to have the city attorney come by and talk to us about and give us her take on that? Or is it something we could discuss and then maybe have the attorney come at a later date? Maybe the chair should be more involved in that discussion.
I know, just to update you from a staff side, I know that the chair had a great conversation with the city attorney, so he could provide some insight as well. And I'm more than happy if we're requesting the city attorney, at least a statement from the city attorney, I'm more than happy to follow through with that. And I will have to update you when I get an answer.
Yeah, I guess the statement from the city attorney would be great, provided we ask the right question. And I'm not exactly sure what the question would be. So maybe at the next meeting, maybe the chair could update us on not only his discussion, but his thoughts, because I think he's thought more about it than other people on the committee so far.
I agree. That's a concern of mine also, but I take that it's very complicated. So if Chair Gosh has talked to the attorney, then we need to probably listen to his information.
I'd like to see where we are on that.
Yeah. Okay. Are we done?
Yep.
Okay, then I call for an adjournment. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.